The room is dimly lit, the faint hum of a clock ticking away in the background. A man sits at a wooden table, his head resting in his hands. Papers are scattered around him. Notes, half-finished letters, sketches of ideas that never came to life. His name is David. He's 42 years old, and for as long as he can remember, he's been chasing something. Freedom? Success? Happiness? He doesn't even know anymore. All he knows is that every morning feels heavier than the last. David stares at the blank page before him, pen poised but unmoving. The words won't come. They haven't come in years. Outside, the city buzzes with life, a cacophony of horns, footsteps, voices, but inside this small apartment, there's only silence. It's suffocating. He leans back in his chair, letting out a frustrated sigh. "What's wrong with me?" he mutters under his breath. But deep down, he already knows the answer. Procrastination. Drifting. These aren't just concepts from some self-help book, they're chains wrapped tightly around his soul. And tonight, they feel heavier than ever. This story begins here, not because it's unique, but because it's universal. You see, we all drift. We all let fear whisper lies into our ears until we forget who we really are. Even Napoleon Hill, one of history's greatest thinkers, wrestled with these demons. In Outwitting the Devil, The Secret to Freedom and Success, he dared to confront them head-on, imagining an interview with the very force that keeps humanity shackled. What he uncovered wasn't just a blueprint for success, it was a battle cry for freedom. Part 1. The scene shifts. David closes his eyes, exhausted. As he drifts off, the room transforms. The walls dissolve into darkness, and suddenly he finds himself standing in a vast, empty desert. The sky above is blood red, and the air smells faintly of sulfur. He looks around, disoriented, when a voice cuts through the stillness. "Lost, aren't you?" David spins around to find a figure cloaked in shadow. Its face is obscured, but its presence is overwhelming. There's something both familiar and foreign about it, like an echo of his own doubts given form. Who are you?" David stammers. The figure chuckles softly, a sound that sends shivers down David's spine. "Call me what you will. The devil. Your inner critic. Society's puppet master. I am the architect of your misery." David takes a step back, heart pounding. "This isn't real," he says, more to himself than to the figure. "I'm dreaming." "Oh, but dreams are where truth hides," the figure replies, stepping closer. "Tell me, David, why do you think you're here? Why do you waste your days staring at blank pages while the world moves on without you?" David opens his mouth to respond, but no words come out. How could he explain what he barely understands himself? That he's afraid of failing, of being judged, of stepping outside the lines society drew for him long ago? "You've been drifting," the figure continues, circling him now like a predator sizing up its prey. "Floating through life without purpose, without direction. Do you know why people drift, David? Because it's safe. Because it's easy. Because someone taught them to fear the alternative." David clenches his fists, anger rising within him. "Stop talking in riddles. If you have something to say, just say it." The figure stops moving and tilts its head, as if amused by David's outburst. "Very well. Let's start with fear, the first chain I used to bind you. Fear of criticism. Fear of failure. Fear of the unknown. These fears keep you small, predictable, manageable. They make you easier to control." Images flash before David's eyes. A childhood memory of being scolded for coloring outside the lines, a teacher telling him his dream of becoming an artist was impractical, a boss dismissing his ideas in a meeting. Each moment chips away at his confidence, reinforcing the belief that he's not good enough. "And then there's procrastination," the figure adds, its voice dripping with mockery. "Ah, my favorite tool. I don't need to trap you in a cage, David. You build it yourself, brick by brick, with every excuse, every delay, every distraction. I'll start tomorrow, you tell yourself, but tomorrow never comes, does it?" David feels a lump rise in his throat. He wants to deny it, to fight back, but the truth hits too close to home. For years, he's let fear and doubt dictate his choices. He's played it safe, stayed in jobs that drained his spirit, ignored the creative spark that once burned so brightly within him. But the worst part, the figure whispers, leaning in close, is that you don't even realize how trapped you are. You call it comfort, stability, normalcy. But I call it slavery. Every time you conform to someone else's expectations, every time you silence your own voice to fit in, you hand over a piece of your soul to me. David collapses to his knees, overwhelmed by the weight of his own failures. Tears stream down his face as he whispers, "Why are you doing this to me?" The figure kneels beside him, its tone shifting from cruel to almost sympathetic. "Because you asked me to. You summoned me with your indecision, your hesitation, your refusal to take control of your life. But I'm not your enemy, David. I'm your mirror. I show you what you refuse to see." For a moment, the desert fades, and David finds himself back in his apartment. The clock ticks louder now, each second a reminder of time slipping away. He looks down at the blank page before him and realizes something. The chains binding him aren't external. They're internal. And if he wants to break free, he has to face them head-on. David stares at the blank page, his mind racing. The encounter in the desert feels like a fever dream, yet its impact lingers heavy in his chest. He can still hear the figure's voice, cold and cutting, echoing inside him. "You summoned me with your indecision." He shakes his head, trying to shake off the unease. But the truth is undeniable. For years, he's let fear dictate his life. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of stepping outside the lines society drew for him. And now, that fear has taken shape, manifesting as a shadowy figure haunting his thoughts. The room grows quieter, the hum of the clock louder. David closes his eyes again, but this time, he doesn't resist. Instead, he leans into the discomfort, letting it wash over him. Something shifts. The darkness around him begins to dissolve once more, and he finds himself standing not in the desert, but on a narrow bridge suspended over an endless void. Below him swirls a sea of whispers, each one carrying fragments of voices from his past. "You're not talented enough. Why take the risk? Just be realistic." The cacophony threatens to pull him down, but he grips the railing tightly, refusing to give in. A familiar voice cuts through the noise. "Still here, I see." David turns to find the shadowy figure standing beside him, arms crossed, watching him with an unreadable expression. "I thought you'd run by now," it says. "Most people do." "I'm not most people," David replies, surprising even himself with the conviction in his voice. The figure smirks. "Bold words. Let's see if they hold up. Tell me, David, what makes you think you're ready to face me now? What's changed?" David hesitates, searching for the right words. Then it hits him. A realization so clear it feels like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. "You feed on fear," he says slowly, his voice gaining strength. "But fear only has power when I let it. When I choose to listen to it instead of my own voice." The figure tilts its head, intrigued. "Go on." "You've been lying to me," David continues, standing taller now. "You told me I was trapped, that I had no control. But that's not true. I've always had a choice. Every time I stayed silent instead of speaking up, every time I played it safe instead of taking a risk, that was my decision. Not yours." For the first time, the figure looks unsettled. Its form flickers, like a flame caught in a sudden gust of wind. "Clever," it mutters. "But understanding isn't enough. Knowing the problem won't set you free. You have to act." "I know," David says firmly, "and I will. Starting now." With that, he steps away from the railing and walks toward the other side of the bridge. Each step feels heavier than the last, as if invisible forces are trying to drag him back. But he pushes forward, focusing on the horizon ahead, a faint glow piercing through the darkness. Behind him, the figure calls out one last time. "Remember, David, the chains may be gone, but the battle isn't over. Fear will always try to creep back in. It's up to you to keep fighting." David doesn't respond. He keeps walking until the bridge ends, and he emerges into a vibrant landscape bathed in golden light. Trees sway gently in the breeze, birds sing in harmony, and a sense of peace washes over him. This, he realizes, is what freedom feels like, not the absence of fear, but the courage to move forward despite it. Back in his apartment, David opens his eyes. The clock still ticks, the papers still lie scattered across the table. But something has changed. He picks up the pen, hesitates for just a moment, then begins to write. Words flow effortlessly now, pouring onto the page like water breaking through a dam. Ideas he'd buried long ago resurface, raw and alive. He writes about his fears, his doubts, his dreams. He writes like someone who has nothing left to lose and everything to gain. Hours pass unnoticed. When David finally sets the pen down, dawn is breaking outside. The city awakens, bustling with energy. For the first time in years, he feels a spark ignite within him. It's small, fragile even, but it's real. And it's his. As he gazes out the window, watching the sun rise over the skyline, David understands what Napoleon Hill meant when he spoke of purpose. Purpose isn't something handed to you, it's something you claim. It's the fire that burns away doubt, the anchor that grounds you in chaos. It's the reason you wake up every day, ready to fight for the life you want, not the one society tells you to settle for. The shadowy figure doesn't return. Not because it's gone, but because it no longer has power over him. David knows now that the devil isn't some external force. It's the part of us that succumbs to fear, conformity, and complacency. And while it will always lurk in the corners of his mind, waiting for a moment of weakness, it can never win unless he lets it. Freedom, he realizes, isn't a destination. It's a journey. One step at a time, one decision at a time, one act of courage at a time. And David? He's just getting started. Feel like you're meant for more, but don't know how to get there? You're not alone. Every success story starts with doubt and a spark. The Self-Made Millionaire, Zero to Wealth isn't just a book. It's your roadmap to purpose, confidence, and success, built on real lessons from real millionaires. One reader said, "It didn't feel like a book. It felt like my future talking to me." Inside, you'll find the exact mindset and principles used by the world's most successful people. No fluff, just real, life-changing wisdom. Ready to take the first step? Get it 100% free. Just subscribe and comment "book" below.